Says the Mishnah, Beishamai Oimrim. Beishamai, we don't normally paskin like Beishamai. Mishnah starts with Beishamai. Beishamai Oimrim. Be'erev kolala miyita v'yikra. In the evening, when you say Krishma, lean to the side and read. But Boiker, in the morning when you read Krishma, Yamai, get up from your chair, get up from your bed, Shenema, Ubashachcha, Uvkumecha. So Beishamai learns the pasuk. They understand the biblical pasuk. B'shavcha Uvkumecha. They don't think it's talking about in the morning and in the evening. They say it's referring to lying down and sitting up, standing up. I guess Beishamai also agrees there's Krishma in the morning and the evening. They're not arguing with that. They're saying in the morning and evening, how should you read it? Stand up, lie down. Beisila says, Koladum Kaira Kedarkai. Everyone should read it however you are, wherever you are. Read it as usual. You don't have to lie down, you don't have to stand up. Shenema or Velecht Chavadarach. You can even say Krishma when you're walking. When you're walking, you're not lying down, you're not standing up. So if you say Krishma B'shachkov, Kmecha, or Velecht Chavadarach, so you don't have to lie down. It's some first pasuk. We're going to see what Beishamai is going to do with that pasuk. Imkain Lama B'shachkov Kmecha. So what does it mean B'shachkov Kmecha? If it doesn't mean when you're lying down, when you're standing up. When the time of day, the people are lying down. The time of day, the people are awake. That's the day and the night. You should say once a day or once a night. Rav Tafin. Rav Tafin says, Ani Ayisi story time. Ani Ayisi Bavaderach. I was coming on a journey, Vitesi Likos Kediv Beishamai, and I decided to lie down like Beishamai. I guess it was nighttime. He's supposed to lie down according to Beishamai. He decided to do like Beishamai. And I endangered my life because of the bandits. They were going to kill me. I almost died because I did like Beishamai. Chacham said to him,
Wait, once again. Why would it make any difference if you were lying down or standing up? If there's least him there, he's in danger.
So what they explain is that he was on his donkey, he was on his horse going. If it would have carried on, you're driving in your car, you've passed a bad neighborhood, you keep driving, nothing's going to happen to you. They're not going to ram into your car, do a chase. He was on his horse, he could have gone. But he got off his horse, he says Krishma, lies down, right? And they catch up with him, they're like, hey, what are you doing lying in the grass saying Krishma? So Amrulai, Kedai Ayisa Kedai Ayisa Lichai Batzmacha Shavata Dive Beis Hillel. The fact that you went against Beis Hillel, you chayv misa. You should have died just because you were over Dive Beis Hillel. You put yourself in that danger. You endangered yourself. You shouldn't have done that. That was dangerous. So they explain, first of all, we're going to see the reason why you shouldn't do like Beishamai is because people might learn from you. He thought he could do it because he was by himself. He was babaderach. He was by himself on a journey. So there's no problem of people going to see from your actions, oh, maybe we're really passing like Beishamai. So he thought it was okay, Reb Chaim, because no one's around. I'll do like Beishamai, right? So interestingly, why is it such a big deal? He's chayv misa. Chacham said he should have died. He deserved the death penalty for going against Beishamai. So famous Ramchal in Mesilas Yesharim, he says there was a huge machlokes, a huge fight between Beishamai and Beis Hillel in those times, and it was almost tearing apart Klal Yisrael. They paskin, you go with the Rav. Achrei Rab and Hati, you go with the Rav. So if you go ahead and you went with Beishamai as opposed to Beis Hillel, you're creating Shtei Tayus B'Yisrael, a massive machlokes. They didn't want that. We all have to follow Beis Hillel, and that's the end of the story. Very important. You might think you're doing extra chum, you're being a brisker, be machmeh, or do like Beishamai. You're creating a rift in Klal Yisrael. Look at the bigger picture. Have a bigger head. Have a bigger outlook on life. What are you looking at like the small thing? Oh, I want to keep every little nuance according to everybody. I want to... No, you're causing a rift in Klal Yisrael. Look at the big picture. Everyone goes like Beis Hillel. Stick to Beis Hillel. Says the gemorah. So, Beishamai Beis Hillel Kamufar Shitamayu. I understand Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel makes a lot of sense here. The time of the Beishamai. Beishamai Beis Hillel Kamufar Shitamayu. The time of the Beishamai. Why does Beis Shammai not say like Beis Hillel. Why does Beis Shammai not agree with Beis Hillel? So Amr Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai says to Beis Hillel, I'll tell you what's going on. Im Kain, Neim Krav Boiker Be'erev. If the pasuk is the Bible talking about when you're lying down and when you're in the morning and the evening, as opposed to when you're lying down when you're standing up, so it should say Boiker Be'erev. What do you mean? B'shach Chov K'mecha. Say Boiker in the morning and the evening. Don't say when you're lying down when you get up. My B'shach K'mecha B'shach Shchiva Mamish. So what does Shchiva mean? When you're actually lying down. B'shach Kima Mamish. So we have to understand this pasuk literally. Beis Shammai, so what does Beis Shammai do with the word Belech Chabaderach? Beis Hillel understood Belech Chabaderach means even when you're traveling, what's it called? You can say Krishma. According to Beis Shammai, you have to lie down. You have to get up. You have to stand still. What does Beis Shammai do with that pasuk Belech Chabaderach? They need it for something else. It says in the Brisa, it says when you sit in your home, say Krishma. Prat l'isik b'mitzvah. If you're sitting in your home doing nothing, scrolling, as they say, so then say Krishma. But if you're busy, you're doing a mitzvah, don't say Krishma. What about if you're traveling? What does it come tell me for traveling? Prat l'chasen. If you're traveling, say Krishma. But if you're a chasen, we're going to see, because he's got all these mitzvahs involved. The guy gets married, he's got mitzvahs, he's got to worry about the wedding night. So don't say Krishma. Mekan Amru, from here we see Hakaines es besula potter. If someone marries a woman that it's her first time, you potter from saying Krishma because he's worried. There's dam besulim. He's worried about the challenge to do the mitzvah the first night. But if there's an almana, if he's marrying someone that's a widow, what? How do you say it? A widow? So if it's a widow, then you can't say Krishma. My mashma, Amr Papa, ki derech. What do we see from it? It says ki derech, ma derech rishus, af kol rishus. So it says v'lechtcha baderech. What do we learn from v'lechtcha baderech? You should say Krishma if you're like on a derech. What does it mean derech? Just like your derech, you're allowed to go on a derech. Af kol rishus. So so anything you're doing that's a rishus. If you're doing something that's not a mitzvah, you're having a barbecue with your friends, comes time to say Krishma, say Krishma. But if you're doing a mitzvah, are we not talking about a case where a guy's going for a mitzvah? Even if you're going to shul, you should stop and say Krishma. Even if you're running to, visit someone sick, you should stop and say Krishma. But in the gemorah, the pasuk saying, you're going to do a mitzvah, but still you should stop and say Krishma. So you see that even if you're doing a mitzvah, you should stop saying Krishma. If that would be true, it should say b'sheves uveleches. When you're standing or when you're sitting. Maybe shift the cha uvelech the cha. This extra cha. It's you. You're standing for you. You're sitting for you. B'sheves tidach or b'leches tidach. If you're standing around, you're doing something for your own benefit. Who the mechayves? Then you have to say Krishma. If you're being Isaac in something that's a rishus, or the mitzvah p'tiras. If you're doing a mitzvah, you potter from Krishma. So now the Gemara comes to explain. If that's true, that anytime you're doing a mitzvah, you potter from saying Krishma. So what would the Havana be? Why would you potter from saying Krishma if you're doing a mitzvah? Because Isaac was a mitzvah, potter in a mitzvah. We have this all over Shas. If you're doing a mitzvah, you don't have to do another mitzvah. If you're now davening in shul, you're doing a mitzvah, and people come over to you to collect money, you're part of a mitzvah. You don't have to do it. You don't have to give them money. In fact, and your potter, what's it called? If you do something in your potter, you're called a hedyot. Right? If you sit in your sukkah, the gemorah says in sukkah, when it's raining, you're potter. So what are you called? You're a hedyot. Hedyot sounds all like idiot. It's the same thing. You're an idiot. Why are we going to see? You didn't do a mitzvah b'chlal. There's no mitzvah. If you're icing a mitzvah, you're potter in a mitzvah. You're sitting here davening, and someone says, give me money. You're icing a mitzvah. Don't bother me now. You give him money. Fine. You didn't do a mitzvah. You're an idiot. Because you're icing a mitzvah. Hashem wants you to concentrate on one thing at a time. Major you saved in life over here. I remember speaking to Adam Gadol, and he was talking to someone, family member around my age. This guy was Kolatar Kula Balpa, and someone came over to him, starts talking to him, and he just ignored him. Like for 10 minutes, he's like, Arab. He just was talking to his yid, just totally ignored him. When you're Isaac Mitzvah, you're dealing with something. You're potter. You don't have to start now. Oh my gosh, involved in 10 different things at the same time. You're talking to someone, show that person respect, and don't just like go ahead and like, oh, someone else called me now. Get distracted with 100 other things. It's a big mile. So the Gemara says, so if it's a mitzvah, if the reason why you don't have to say Kriya Shema when you get married is because you're doing a mitzvah. If someone marries a widow, he should also be part of Kriya Shema. So the Gemara answers, Hai tar, Vailai tar. There's a difference. There's a fundamental difference. When you marry someone, first wedding, first marriage, he's worried, he's very tired, he's worried, he's bothered. He's got this mitzvah to do. Rashi says there's dam basulim, she's a basula. It's hard, he doesn't know, he's thinking about how's he going to become the mitzvah, he wants to do b'shleimus properly. He's tired, he's bothered, he's worried. But when you marry a almana, he's not worried anymore. There's no dam basulim. She knows what to do. He's not tired anymore. That's the difference. So it turns out that what parted you from the mitzvah is not because you're Isaac mitzvah, part of mitzvah. It's a whole new gemorah now. The gemorah is saying the reason why you're part from Kriya Shema when you get married isn't because you're Isaac mitzvah, part of a mitzvah. It's because you're tired in a mitzvah, and if you're tired in a mitzvah, you're part from a mitzvah. So what it says, Ibishim tirda. If you're going to tell me it's because of tirda, that any time you're bothered. There's a stock market crash. You should also be part of Kriya Shema. The guy's ship sinks. You should be part of Kriya Shema. Yeah, maybe. Who said not? So if that would be the case, why does Rav Bar Zavda say, Amarav, Evel is chayav b'chol mitzvahs and mitzvahs? Someone that's mourning, he has to keep every single mitzvah in the Torah. Chutz me'at tefillin. Someone that's mourning, he's got to keep all the mitzvahs except for tefillin, because Shari Neba Hebeher. Sharinema bahem pe'er. It says about tefillin, they are glory. Shenema, how do you know tefillin is a glory? It says pe'echa chovesh alecha. Hosam, and it's talking about tefillin, pe'echa. It's talking about tefillin. Hosam, tarted the mitzvah. So the Gemara answers. So we're back to the original question, right? What's the difference between the almana and a basula? Hosam, tarted the mitzvah. Oh, sorry, what's the difference between getting marriage and someone's boat drowning, right? Either way, he's tired. So Hashem tired did the mitzvah. When a person gets married, he's bothered with doing a mitzvah. Hachatari tir the rishus. And here it's only a tir the rishus. If someone's boat drowns, if someone's boat sinks, right? Or if someone's an oval, that's a rishus. He doesn't, so the Rishonim explain, there's no mitzvah for an oval to be sad. There's no mitzvah to be sad. He's not mechuyev to make himself sad. There's certain things he has to cover the mace to respect the dead person. He has to dress a certain way, sit a certain way. He shouldn't be eating things at Mr. Me'achim. It's not a time to party. Show respect to the dead by mourning. Chitzenius. There's no chiyuv to be mitztayer, and therefore he can wear tefillin. Therefore it's not called the Torah of the mitzvah. Therefore it's not Torah of the mitzvah. Interestingly, there's a little bit of machlokes here. So Rav Chaim says that Eisik b'mitzvah potem in a mitzvah is what the Gemara is coming to tell me here is when is Eisik b'mitzvah potem in a mitzvah? According to Rav Chaim, if you're davening and someone comes and asks you for money, you're doing a mitzvah, but you're not tired. Maybe let's say you're building a sukkah. You're not tired intellectually. You're kneading your matzah dough, right? You're not busy, so you can give tzedakah. That's how he understands the Gemara. The Maskana of the Gemara is, if you're tired, then we'll say Isaac mitzvah potem b'min mitzvah. But if you're doing a mitzvah and you're not tired, you're davening, you're saying Pesukah Dezim, you're not tired, so give the guy money. That's how Rav Chaim learns. Rav Rashba says no. When you're actually doing the mitzvah, you're always going to be potem in a mitzvah. If you're davening, even if you're not tired, if you're shaking lulav, you're not tired, you're doing any mitzvah, you're sitting in a sukkah, you're not tired, right? You're sitting in a sukkah. So you could do another mitzvah. What does tired help me? Torah is even you're not doing the mitzvah yet. This guy gets married, this chassan. He's not doing bila the whole night. He's worried before the mitzvah. So Torah helps even before you're doing the mitzvah to pati from a mitzvah. That's what Torah helps me. Of course, when you're doing the actual mitzvah, you put them in the Isaac mitzvah, put them in the mitzvah. That's a totally different sugi and shas. If you're doing a mitzvah, you don't have to do another mitzvah. Isaac mitzvah, the mitzvah. According to Reb Chaim, only if you're Torah is Isaac mitzvah, put them in a mitzvah. That's how he understands the Maskana of the gemorah. Tanu Rabbanon. We're one line above this Taisus Achas. Tanu Rabbanon. Beisil Oimrim. Yeshivs, Beisila says, you stand, you read Kriya Shema, you sit, you read Kriya Shema, you lie down, you read Kriya Shema, you're walking, you read Kriya Shema. You're working, what should you do? Read Kriya Shema. You don't have to stop. You're busy in the factory, I don't know, whatever you're doing. A story happened. Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, they were sitting down, they were eating. So Rabbi Shmuel was lying down. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, he was standing up. He was on his feet. All of a sudden, it's time to read Kriya Shema. He to Rabbi Elazar, so Rabbi Elazar lied down, leaned, literally. The Zok of Rabbi Shmuel stood up. So basically Rabbi Elazar did like Beis Shammai. So, Amalei Rabbi Elazar said to him, Amalei Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yishmael, Achi, my brother, I'm going to tell you mashal what you did. You stood up. Lemad avadoyma. Mashal echad shayim loi. They tell a person it's a kanchem ugudel. It's a big machlek is what this mashal is. It's a deep mashal. They come up to the guy and say, "Wow, you've got a beautiful long beard." Amalehem yeh keneged hamashchisem. He said, "Okay, I'm going to shave it off." Because they told him you're doing something right, so now he shaves it off. I'm lost for words. I'm not sure exactly what the mashal is. You'll have your own pshat. Afkan ata kol zman shani zokov atamuta. Also me. When I was standing up, you were lying down. Now that I allowed them to be like you, now you stand up. Why'd you stand up? Basically, like, you're a dafkanik. You know, it sounds like he's saying you're a dafkanik. Oh, nice bed. I'll cut it off. Like, you had a bed, you wanted the bed. The Rishonim say, some say because he had a bed, they shouldn't think it's taya, he shaved his bed. But now you told him, I see what you're doing. So it's called the dafkanik in Hebrew. Like, and now that I lay down, so like, now I'm going to stand up. You would have stayed lying down. I was following the words of Beis Hillel. You were doing like Beis Shammai. You lie down. So I'm right. You're wrong. We passing like Beis Hillel. You're wrong for following Beis Shammai. Not only that, maybe Talmidim are going to see that we lay down, and they're going to make halacha l'deiros, but they're passing for all eternity. They're passing like Beis Shammai. That's dangerous. So my veloyed. So what does mean veloyed? You might think the Beis Hillel says, sorry, Beis Hillel nami islay matin. Since Beis Hillel say you're allowed to lie down, if you're already lying down, you can stay lying down. You don't have to get up when you're saying Kriya Shema at night. Beis Hillel just says it doesn't matter what you do. Beis Hillel doesn't say you have to stand up at night. If you're lying down, stay lying down. That's if you're already lying down, then you can read lying down. But if you were originally standing up, you're not allowed to go ahead and lie down to say Kriya Shema. So, because people are going to think you hold like Beis Shammai. If you're standing up and then you sit down and lean to say Kriya Shema, they think, this guy holds like Beis Shammai. People are going to go ahead and think this is the halacha for all eternity. Interesting now, what's going on here? So Rabbi Cheskel said, if you did like Beis Shammai, good, you did it. Also, you do like Beis Hillel, also. You yates either way. They want to, Rabbi Yosef Omar, if you did like Beis Shammai, you weren't yates b'chlal. Lo yotza. In other words, of course, midaraisa you yates Kriya Shema. But since Chazal said halacha like Beis Hillel, and if you lied down to say Kriya Shema, Lo yetz de chayva. You're not yetz krishma. Even with the rice, you got to read it again. You're not yetz anything. Why? Because halacha is like Beis Hillel. So what was Havim in Reb Cheskel? Why does Tanya Reb Cheskel say you are yetza? L'chayr we passing like Beis Hillel. What's the machlokes of a yetza lo yetza? So the Gra says what it means is yetza b'diavad, but of course it's also to do like Beis Shammai. Even according to Reb Cheskel, it's also to do like Beis Shammai and lie down. Rakma, if you did it, you Krishma, the Raisa, you read Krishma. You can't say you didn't say Krishma. Rabbi says, no, you didn't. You won Yetz Krishma. The question is, how could Chazal take away from you? How can it be a Yetz Krishma? How can it be a Yetza? I'm gonna skip to the tshuva, even though there's a few more lines of the gemorah here before we see the real answer. It's a shtickle machlekes because either it's because mitzvah b'avera is love mitzvah. If you do a mitzvah and it's stolen in avera, you shake lulav, but it's a stolen lulav. You mekayim a mitzvah? No, it's a mitzvah b'avera. There's no mitzvah. So you did an avera, you follow Beis Shammai. What's avera, to listen to Beis Shammai? Yeah. Achrei Rabbim l'hatais. It's a mitzvah to go with the Rabbim. Beis Hillel was the Rav. If you go against the Rav, you're over a mitzvah. It's an avera. If you paskin like Beis Shammai, if you're following Beis Shammai, Achrei Rabbim l'hatais. That's how you paskin. You're going against a din in the Torah. So it's a mitzvah b'avera. You didn't do the mitzvah b'chal. You got to shake lulav again. You stole a little esrog, you shook it. You're not yetza. You said Krishma, you lie down and say Krishma, you're not yetza. Mitzvah b'avera. Others want to say it's because you're like you're going against the psak, you're zakim mamre, you're what's it called? It's a mitzvah. But the Ramah says that the pasuk is loisosu b'kol she'erucha yimin ishmal. You're not allowed to deviate left or right l'chula l'chumra from what Chazal tell you. So it's a pasuk in the Torah. Loisosu. You have to listen to what Chazal tell you. Chazal say we pasuk like Beis Hillel. That's the law. You did like Beis Shammai. So you over the pasuk in the Torah loisosu. You didn't listen to loisosu. You listened to Chazal. It's a mitzvah b'avera. Even though you read Krishma, mitzvah b'avera, you're not yetza. Start from scratch. Say it again. Sit up, stand up, say Krishma. You weren't yetza pashat. Halacha l'maisa. Does a guy have to say Krishma again? A guy thinks, oh, I remember learning brachas. You're supposed to lie down. Krishma. We thought we passed like Beis Shammai. You got to say it again. You weren't yetza. And we're going to see the gemorah talks about sukkah. Beis Shammai says the tables has to be in the sukkah. And the question is if he yetza. It's machlekes. If he yetza, even the daraisa, they can take away l'chayr. They're taking away the daraisa from you. You're not even yetza the mitzvah daraisa. Let's see the gemorah inside. The Tanan, it says in the Mishnah, first white line, if your head and body is in the sukkah, but the table is in the house. You can't eat in your house, you have to eat in the sukkah, right? Your table's in the house. So Beis Shammai Paisin, you can't eat like that. Why? Even with the rice in the sukkah, they're geyser. You're going to end up eating over the table. So they were geyser. The table has to be in the sukkah. Well, Beis Hillel says it's kosher. In that case, happens to be that I think Beis Shammai was the Rav. Normally Beis Hillel is the Rav. There, Beis Shammai was the Rav, so it passes like Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel machshirin. Amalem Beis Shammai, Amalem Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. I can prove to you that you're wrong. The elders of Hillel and Shammai, they went to visit Yochanan and Charanis. And he saw that his table was in the house. They didn't say anything to him. You're going to bring a right. So you see, they didn't say anything to him, meaning, Beis Hillel says, you see, Hillel and Shammai went together, they didn't say anything to this Yochanan and Charanis. You see that if your table's in the house, you're yaitza. That you're going to bring a rye for them. They told him, if this is how you eat, if this is how you keep your sukkah, if your sukkah's in the house, you never makayim mitzvah sukkah your entire life. Imagine, big rabbi, tables in the house, you never want to makayim mitzvah sukkah. Why? Like we said, even though midaraisa, you makayim the mitzvah. Midaraisa, you're in the sukkah, eating in the sukkah. There's a table over there, you go like that. You reach into the table, you can take something. But since Chazal said it's also to do it, Shema Yimashech, and we paskin like that because Achrei Rabim Lahatais, you have to go with the Rav. So therefore, it's a mitzvah of Avera. You were never Mekayim mitzvah sukkah in your life. It's like you stole the sukkah. There's other ways to understand this. The Chazal maybe how they can say you're not Mekayim mitzvah d'oraisa. So if you did like Beishama, you chayiv misa. So the Gemara says, why you chayiv misa? Because anytime you don't listen to what Chazal say, over divrei Chazal, you chayiv misa. It's a classic over divrei Chazal. He says, if you listen to Beishama, you chayiv misa. The son of Reb Chaim, he quotes the Mishnah that we had. I lean like Beishama, I list him, and I endanger myself because of the bandits. They said to him, you know what? You chayiv misa because you went against Beis Hillel. So you see that if you go against Beis Hillel, you chayiv misa. Again, like we said, because ha'ovel divrei chachamim, you chayiv misa. It could be because why else you chayiv misa? It's an interesting question. Why are you chayiv misa if you're over divrei Hillel? Take a look in Taisus Tani. Take a look in like 4 lines from the bottom of this Taisus. Afagav. 4 lines from the bottom, Taisus Tani. He asks, Akasha, what are we talking about? Taisus, Afagav de minadin yotze b'diyeved. Give the Beis Hillel nocha, kedisa b'masnisin. Kedai yiselacha batzcha, imatzke Beis Hillel, Beis Hillel, Beis Hillel yisel like klum. Since you are... No... He's saying that since you were right to be chayiv misa, since the best chayiv misa if he does like Beis Shammai, he's over alav, he's chayiv misa. If you listen to Beis Shammai, chayiv misa, right? Im Kain, Tais is explaining, you're not yotza, lo yotza v'lo klum. That's not called you the mitzvah b'chal. It's very interesting. It's a fascinating sugya. It's very worthwhile digging into it because our generation is plagued with a makkah called chumras. Everyone's trying to do chumras, and you have to know. First of all, are you being over? According to some Mefarshim, if you go against the psak and you decide to be machmer, it could be, first of all, people learn from you. They think this is the Ikra Din, and you're creating a pilgrim Klal Yisrael, a terrible thing, like the Ramchal says. What are you creating machlekes? And we're better than you. We're attitude. There's a great sefer called Menucha. What is it called? The Mishnah Berurah brings it down a few times. Roisha Piska. He says, Chumras is the churban of the world. People being machmer, that's the churban of Yiddishkeit. It could be he's talking about a certain sect of people who mischased, let's call it. But he said it's the churban of the world. Why? Because I come over to him and I say, Rabbi, you lied. That's Lashon Hara. That's Gezel. You know what he's going to say to you? Where are you pious? Where's your strimal? And you went to the mikveh today? And I come up with 350 different chumras that he does that you don't do, even though no one says you have to do it. And that's why you can trample on the rest of the Torah that you have to do. And then you can't go over to anyone. There's no what's it called? There's no Musa, there's no Techecha, there's no Gedalim, there's no one. Who's the biggest gadol? The guy that has the biggest sitters, the guy that wears the most sitters, the guy that has the biggest trimal. He's the gadol, the guy that's got a Torah that's 3 feet wide, made out of gold. He's a gadol. A Pashat the Yid who keeps Torah, he's a Gornish. Who are you, B'chal? You're nobody. It all became fake. He says there's 4 klalim you need in order to do any chumrah. Four klalim. This is the only sefer Vilna Gaon ever gave us comment to. Rosh Piska. Pinchas Mipletsk. He says it has to be something your Rebbeim did. It has to be something your Mechonechin, your Rebbeim said you have to do. It has to be something that you hold as a chiyuv on the whole of Klal Yisrael. Everyone's mechuyev to do it. It can't be something you have to do it b'tzina whenever possible. In other words, if anyone can see you doing it, parcel. It has to be private. Third thing is, it can't bother anyone else. He calls it being Pesel Rosh Hakal. You can't be doing it to elevate yourself. I'm better than you, look what I do. That's basically what most chumras do. Everything's like chumras nowadays. But a real chumrah is something that no one else knows about. Something your Rebbeim said you should do. That's a real chumrah. Everything else is just a joke. Have a wonderful day.
So what about certain kashrus standards?